So the first thing we need to do when we're laying out the marks for the Sawhorse, and the marks are already here, but we're going to show you anyway. We've got our 4 3/4 inch mark right here. So we'll square that across and get it on both sides. Then we're going to flip this up and take their speed square so we look for our 10-degree mark on the speed square, and we line that up with the very edge of the board, and we slide it over till we're on our mark. Double check it and we'll make a mark here. That gives us our 10-degree slope for the leg. We'll do that on the other side. Looks like I've already got one there. Next thing we want to do is we'll just take a piece of the 1x4 that we're going to use. And since this is the exact size we know that we want, we'll line it up with the line we just marked on this side, and we'll just get a mark on the other side. Do the same thing on this side. Now keep track of which way your lines are sloping, because they should slope away on both sides. So again, we line that up there, and I'll turn it around here so you can see. We get a mark there. And that's exactly the width that we want to take out. Now, we want to make sure we keep track of which is the top and which is the bottom. So on the top, we're going to mark 3/4 of an inch. You can see here, we want to get our combination square set to exactly 3/4 of an inch. And for this, I actually recommend you use a pen. Usually a pencil is good, but we want a very fine line. So grab a pen, preferably a ballpoint, not a Sharpie. And we're just going to drag this along with the square and mark our 3/4 inch line there. We'll flip it around and do the same thing this way. Get our 3/4 inch line there. Do it for all of them on the top. I've already cut this one out, but get it for all 4 so that you make sure you keep the top. Now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to get a 1/2 inch on a combination square right in the middle of that 1/2 inch line. And in between where our marks are, that's where we're going to cut out. So we're going to get a 1/2 inch mark there. The same on the other side. Flip it around, do all of them at once. We also want to square these lines across from the edge across to where we're going to cut them. You can use the speed square for that as well. So we want to be very accurate. This is what's going to help hold us together. Square those across. And if we didn't do it already, square it across on the top. So Now we're going to put this in the vise. So we're going to make a series of cuts, and on the ends we want to be very close to the line, not go over the line. Just make the line disappear or just touch it. And I highly recommend you use the back saw, because for cuts that are this fine, the saws with the really rough teeth are going to give you too rough a cut for your leg to fit in tightly. So at least for the edge cuts, we'll use the back saw. And start your cut just cutting flat across the top. Until you get a groove started, and then what I suggest is you go down vertically until you're just touching the line. Now work it back through the groove. Now remember, this is going to be at a little bit of an angle. So if you go straight across, you're going to go too far down on the side where we're only taking a ½ an inch out. So you need to watch, go back and forth, looking at both sides. Make sure we don't go below this on this side. As you look back. So we're just touching the line on both sides. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Flat and angle a little bit so we line up with the line going down, and then work the saw back through the groove. Now that we've got those cut, we want to make a series of cuts that are maybe ½ an inch apart, and that'll allow us to get the rest of the material out pretty quickly. You don't have to be as concerned if they're straight up and down. We just want the bottom of the cut to touch the line on the front and back. Okay, so now we're going to start breaking out the material. Now what I suggest you do is loosen the vise and move it over so that your cutout is right on top of the vise, because we're going to be hitting down with a chisel on that, and it's better to hit straight down on it. And take out one of these chisels. These are brand new chisels and they are sharp. So be careful with them and be nice to them. I don't want to see these dropped on the floor or used as toys. They'll last us a long time if we use them for the purpose they're intended for. So what we're going to do, these should just break off if we just drive the chisel, wedge it in here. Piece just breaks off. that those have broken off, we can really do the rest almost by hand. If need be, we can give it a little tap with the hammer, but we want to pare this down. This is where our accurate saw cuts will help us. Notice I went a little bit too deep there. The rest of them seem pretty good. We'll look for our line on the back side here. Something else that you can do is take small taps with the chisel, break out some more chips. Remember, the whole thing is on an angle, so it's not going to go straight across. And the chisel will cut across the grain quite nicely. Don't have to necessarily cut with the grain. I'm just pushing on it here. I'm not using a hammer at all. Just guiding across. Getting a nice flat surface. Now I'm going to take this piece and see if it fits in here. It fits in. Looks like it might need just a little bit more taken off. On this edge so that it touches that line a little bit better. And there we go. That's basically what we're after. Do that on all 4 legs, and we'll be ready to move on to the next step.